Good morning. Happy Saturday morning to you. I hope you're off to a great day and you got your coffee there. I can't believe my coffee mug actually matches my shirt a little bit. There's totally not planned or anything. So at any rate, I hope you're off to a good one. And I'm thankful this morning for God creating coffee beans, and maybe it's for you tea plants. I don't know, whatever. But we had a great week. Weather-wise, it's been super nice. Those last few days, I know the beginning of the week was a bit sticky. Excuse me, but since then, it's been fantastic. And this kind of weather is primo for me. I love it. So definitely thankful for that. The weatherman's calling for a few days of wet weather coming up. Well, actually today, I heard 20, 25, 30 millimeters of rain some places. I'm not exactly sure where, but that's this afternoon. So at any rate, it was a good week this week too on the spiritual front. Was able to make some contacts with some folks, encourage people. So that's always exciting as well. And the weatherman is talking about rain next week, but warm, which is fine with us because on Wednesday, special day here at our house, on Wednesday, my folks come. It'll be the first time we've seen them since February 2020. So we're excited about that. And it's going to be lots of fun around here. We're going to be doing a few things with Nanny and Poppy. So we're excited about that. So always nice to have family around, that's for sure. All right, if you got your Bibles, turn over to 2 Chronicles chapter 25. 2 Chronicles chapter 25. And we're going to look at King Amaziah this morning. His name means strength of the Lord. And he reigned in Jerusalem for 29 years, which that's a pretty long time when you think about it. And he was a righteous king. Now, he didn't have a perfect heart. Let me read the verses for you. 2 Chronicles chapter 25, verse 1. And Amaziah was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehoiadan of Jerusalem, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, but not with a perfect heart. And we're going to see that as we go through this this morning. So Amaziah got off to a great start. Verse 3 says, and it came to pass when the kingdom was established that he slew the servants that killed his father, the king his father. So once he solidified his position as king of Judah, and was getting going, he then sought justice for the murderers. He meted out the justice that needed to be meted out, and properly, not excessively. And in his justice, he obeyed God. So it was very common in that day, and it's not uncommon in our day, in areas, not so much here in Canada or anything, but when one has offended another and you're taking over rule of country and things, if there was been a conspiracy that the children, the families would be eradicated. Definitely happened then, and it does happen today. And God said, no, don't do that. Earlier in the Bible, back in the I'm not sure exactly where. I have to go look that up. I forgot to check where exactly. But God commanded, don't do that. When someone has done something like that, they get justice, but not their family. So he obeyed, and I think that made a big impression on the city and the nation. They had gone through a horrible time with his dad. They were plundered, they were hurting, and then they see his testimony that he is a gentle king and he's following God's word. That was an encouragement. I have no doubt in my mind that was an encouragement to the people. Again, showing that he followed God, that he was desirous to follow what the Lord would have for him. So verses 5 and 6 of 2 Chronicles chapter 14, Amaziah plans a military campaign, which all kings did. And we see some wisdom. He examines who he has. He does have a large army, 300,000 it says. But he didn't think that was enough. So he decided to hire warriors from the northern kingdom of Israel, to come to Jerusalem to help fight the Edomites, the Sur people. And so it talks about a talent of silver that it was used, and more of them. Amaziah gathered Judah together, and then he hired also 100,000 men of valor out of Israel for 100 talents of silver. So 1 talent in the Old Testament weight system is 66 pounds today. So 100 talents is 6,600 pounds of silver. That's a lot. And in today's market, as of, I think it was Thursday afternoon, I looked that up, it was $2.5 million Canadian. So that's not pocket change, right? I mean, that was a lot of money. And as he was preparing to pay and for these men and things, the Lord sends a preacher to deliver a message to Amaziah, and he says, "But there came a man of God, saying, O king, let not the army of Israel go with thee, for the Lord is not with Israel, to wit, with all the children of Ephraim. But if thou wilt go, do it. Be strong for the battle. God shall make thee fall before the enemy, and for God have power to help and to cast down." So if he went with the Israelites, he would have fell, but with God, there was a victory. So that's not a message that most kings would appreciate to hear. Amaziah was concerned, later verses, he was concerned about the money, the lost revenue, and the prophet said, you know, the Lord will bless you type of thing. But he never questioned the messenger or the message. Again, he's demonstrating, I'm submitting to what the Lord would have for me. He sent away the fighters from Israel. They were miffed. They were really upset. And actually, I think it's in verse 14, is recorded that they plundered in Judah as they went back. I mean, these guys had a bad attitude. At any rate, verses 11 to 12 describe the victory, the king's victory over Seirah, which was part of the Edomites. These people were soundly defeated by Amaziah. After any battle in that time period, and even today, there's plunder. You take what's around. And actually I said verse 14 that they went back and plundered. That's not right. It's verse 13. But verse 14, Amaziah took more than clothes. Let me read for you. Now it came to pass after that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, and he brought the gods of the children of Seirah and set them up to be his gods. And he bowed down himself before them and burned incense unto them. He took their idols, not just to take them and melt them down and make them into whatever. He took them to worship them. I have to be honest, I don't understand. This is very difficult for me to understand. Why would you do this? The messenger, just a few verses before, I understand it was a few days later, I understand that the battle took place and things, but just in recent memory, you had a man of God show up before you in your court and tell you to go after the Edomites, the Seir people, and you'll win. And now he takes the gods of the defeated people and decides that is a great idea to worship them. They're useless. Garbage. I mean, it does blow my mind. I really don't have a great understanding for that one. That one just blows my mind. But at any rate, verses 15, 16, the same chapter, the Lord doesn't understand either. I mean, he does, but he sends a messenger to the king and confronts him. Why are you serving these idols? And the messenger that comes this time, the king is not as gracious to him. The king actually tries to intimidate the prophet. And the prophet says, listen, the Lord is determined to destroy you because of what you've done here. Now, I'm going to say, I don't know who that prophet is. His name's not mentioned, but I want to meet him in heaven because that took a whole lot of bravery to say that. I mean, he was faithful to the message, and hats off. That took a lot of courage. And in verses 17 to 24, I'll just read you first part of verse 17. Then Amaziah, the king of Judah, took advice, and the advice was to go and antagonize King Joash of Israel. So not the Joash of Judah, but Joash of Israel. So Amaziah gets this in his thought pattern that this is going to be a great idea. I have no doubt his pride. I defeated the Edomites. I can defeat Israel. I mean, they're not living for God either, and they weren't. But the king of the north, he says, you know, he's not even a righteous king. He says, no, I don't want to fight you, Amaziah. Like, get away. Go away. I'm condensing. This is the Mark version here now. I'm condensing down what was said in verse 17:24. But he tries to stop this madness. This is madness. Why am I going to fight you? But Amaziah was set on it. And part of the reason he was set on it because God's judgment on him for worshiping the foolish idols of the Edomites. So there's a battle. Amaziah may have whooped the Edomites, but this time he was on the whooping end. Okay, he was getting the whooping. And the army of Judah comes down, or Israel comes down. The army of Judah flees. I mean, they defeat the Edomites, but when Israel comes from the north, they flee. Again, it's God's judgment. And this Amaziah is captured, brought to Jerusalem, and watches as a huge wall is destroyed of the city of Jerusalem. It talks about 400 cubits of the wall from a gate over is destroyed. A cubit, in that, they're thinking the average cubit is 17.5. So the idea from the elbow to the top of the hand. So there can be variance, right? Because everybody's arm is different. So we're talking about 600 feet difference, or 600 feet of the defenses of Jerusalem is tore down. 600 feet. That is huge. You can literally drive a bus through that, right? I mean, it's a big amount of space. It's totally tore down. Nothing left. So that was no small event. Like, that was huge. And it had ramifications for all those who lived in Jerusalem. I mean, that's a serious breach of the wall. Like, anyone could come in and steal. And the wall was the protection. And those who stood up on the wall, the watchmen. So Amaziah survived the war. But Judah paid a heavy price for their arrogance. And sometime during his reign, a conspiracy is hatched. And we don't know how long it takes to kind of ferment or get to where it explodes into action. But he finds out about it, and he flees. He flees Jerusalem. That's where the conspirators are. He flees Jerusalem and goes to Laish. And Laish is quite a distance. It's 30 miles straight line from Jerusalem, but there was no roads that were straight lines. They were all over the place. So I wouldn't be surprised it was 50 miles to get to Laish on the road system. But they followed him there, and they killed him in verse 27 of this chapter. And his life ended the same as his father's. Verse 28. And they brought him up upon horses and buried him with his father in the city of Judah. So the citizens of Judah honored him. That's indication of honor. If they didn't care about him, they would have just left him in Laish and buried him there. But they brought him back and buried him with the kings as per normal. So Amaziah started so well. I mean, he obeyed the laws of God. He had a good, righteous testimony. He demonstrated care. We see as a wise steward, you know, marshaling his armies and things. He obeyed the Lord when he was confronted, and he was blessed for his obedience. But I think the real turning point, from everything I can read, was that victory over Syria, and was very costly for Amaziah. I believe it filled him with pride, and taking those idols and worship, I mean, taking them to destroy them, that would have been fine. But to take them and then worship them, I mean, what a massive mistake. And his decision to make war with Israel was extremely unwise and very painful. And I understand it was by the Lord. It was going to be his judgment for worshiping those foolish idols. So I guess as I thought about this, the major takeaway for me, it pays to obey. Now, we don't obey to get paid, but when we obey, there's rewards. When we obey what God says, there's rewards. Again, someone with an obedient spirit doesn't view it that way. We're just doing what's right, and we get what we get. But on the other side of the coin, pride always costs. That always costs. It can cost us relationships. It can cost us jobs, and and it costs us way more than what we want to pay. And so that's major takeaway for me. And I hope that's been a help to you and helps you as you go forward. Be obeying the Lord, and it will be good for you. I'm not saying that everything's fine. You're not going to have all your problems disappear, but hey, you're good with the Lord. That's the most important. All right, so tomorrow, 9 a.m., 5 p.m., having services. There's lots of room. We can have at least 100 people. So just all you need to do is sign up on our Facebook or our website, not Facebook, our website. And that just helps us to know who's coming and things of that nature. And if you can't make it, you can watch online. That's not going to go away. It's there for you to be utilized by you if you can't be out. And we would love to have you join in. All right. That's your invitation to join in with us. All right. And I hope you have a great Saturday. If you're going to be working the garden, get out right now. Supposed to be pretty heavy rain this afternoon. Get that garden all ready for that refreshment of the rain. And so we'll look forward to Sunday. Take care and God bless.